Welcome into the CHGO White Sox Podcast, coming to you live on the sunny side, summer Thursday. This is the CHGO White Sox Podcast. Visit sunnyside.shop for bright buys every day, including 50% off your first 3 online purchases. Enter promo code HICHGO at checkout to qualify. Exclusions apply. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary, bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders. I'm Sean Anderson, host of the CHGO White Sox Podcast. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. You can read his work at allchgo.com. We have some prospect talk up on the website and also today on the podcast. That's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
Our CHGO White Sox community leader. We're being produced today by Lawrence Benedetto.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, you're back from Salt Lake City, where all the Italians are from.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. On today's podcast, we'll be talking about the prospects in the White Sox organization, most specifically, more specifically, one of those, specifically Colson Montgomery. The first 5 minutes of Paul Janish's 13-minute talk here is centered around Colson Montgomery. So let's stop wasting time because we have to break to get to in about 13 minutes. Here is Paul Janish, the director of player development for the White Sox, talking about why Colson Montgomery is returning to the Arizona Fall League.
We're going to hope that he continues to get better at baseball, Scott. No, joking. Just another opportunity for him to continue to play. The year as a whole, like we've talked about, didn't go as well as he would have liked, and that's been evident. I will say I give Colson a lot of credit because he obviously was in the Fall League last year. I know I've highlighted to you guys, some of the defensive stuff from this year that we're pretty proud of him about, kind of continuing to go in the right direction, develop on that side of the ball, despite, not swinging the bat as well as he would have liked. But I do give him credit because going to the Fall League for the second time isn't, maybe the most exciting thing in a lot of cases for guys. And, to his credit, he's on board with doing whatever he needs to do to put himself in the best position, to play at the major league level, kind of as soon as possible. And so with what we have in front of us, the Fall League is an opportunity to do that. And so, again, give Colson a lot of credit for being on board with it. And and looking forward to getting him out here and, getting to see him and talk to him and watch him play a little bit.
He had a good finish to the season offensively, and I think you guys had kind of a group talk with him about maybe a month out or something like that. What kind of adjustments were made after that whole discussion?
Yeah, ultimately we did have a little discussion, about that time frame, and I think the best way to say it is the aspiration was really just to help him free up, right? Like Colson's talented, we all know that. He was struggling. I think he internalized some things with regards to frustration, and it was kind of snowballed on him at the end of the day. He was frustrated, irritated, mad, whatever you want to say, and that was the aspiration there. We looped in some of his support team as well, and just in an effort to make sure we all know, look, we're all on the same page here. We all want Colson to play well, and again, I give Colson credit because he was open to it and he embraced it, and then honestly he applied it. Towards the end of the season, it was better down the stretch. Hit some homers, got back into the middle of the field, and even in talking to him, which I'm sure some of you guys have or will do, I think he would be open with you as well with regards to feeling freer, in the box again, feeling more athletic, feeling more dangerous, et cetera.
It's what are kind of the things it seems like talking to people in Charlotte that making him fluid in his lower half now that he's kind of gotten bigger and stronger was kind of a big thing to ensuring his success going forward. How have you seen kind of incremental steps with that, and just giving him a longer runway with the AFL allow him kind of more time to put some of that stuff in place?
Yeah, it's, at the end of the day, I like, for me, the best word is free, and with him, and, you talk about strength, you talk about, Colson's a big guy, right? Like, he's athletic. It's, some of those things, but it's, at the end of the day, it's about being free for him and him feeling free in the box and, within an at bat to like really get a swing off, with good direction in the middle of the field. And he's got the blessing of like, when it's working, it's going to work really well. And that's all we're trying to do is help facilitate, him understanding like, look, man, just go out there and have fun. It's easy for us to say now that we don't have to do it every day. Hitting's hard. And again, I continue to kind of embrace the thought that, look, this is part of his development. It is. And, for all of us that have had the opportunity to be around the game and be around some really good players, really good hitters, everybody goes through it at times. And, I think I continue to say, I think we're going to look back and say this was good for him.
What stood out to you during Birmingham's run to the title?
They won the last game. No, honestly, I'm really proud of that staff, really happy and proud of those players. You guys know this as well as I do, but there's been a lot of turnover on that roster throughout the season. Arguably one of the best AA teams in baseball the first half of the season, in large part due to the pitching and defense for that matter. But, there was a ton of turnover on that roster. They kind of went through a little bit of a stretch early in the second half of the season offensively where the team as a whole was struggling. And really, like, I don't know what, word we want to use, grit, some of those kinds of things. Like if you look up and down that roster, relative to the Montgomery team, who give them a ton of credit because that's a talented team. They had a good year. The Tennessee team obviously won a bunch of games, had a bunch of, guys on that team that are going to play in the big leagues. So I just give a ton of credit to the players and the staff for just wanting it, wanting it more and continuing to promote, like, what we're saying in terms of winning. The minor leagues is not all about winning. We get it. But it's, shake hands development, so to speak. It's part of it. And I think with regards to expectation, it's important to say those things out loud. And that Birmingham club is very representative of that exact thing. And let's not lose sight of the Kannapolis team as well, right? They lost in the championship game. It was raining, doubleheader. Anything could have happened there. They ran into, a really good arm from the Nationals organization. So, we're just trying to continue to promote that from a philosophic standpoint that, just continue to do winning things. Whether you're a pitcher, whether you're a position player, catcher, infielder, outfielder, whatever. Like we just want our guys doing winning things over and over again.
DJ Gladney had the winning hit last night and also going to the AFL. Just he's someone who, after dealing with, injuries and struggled early in the year, really cut his strikeout rate in a way that's really interesting for someone with his power. What have you seen from him in the second half? That's kind of the adjustments he's made to get to the spot.
Yeah. So, I could tell you guys a bunch of stories about a bunch of our players in the minor leagues this year. DJ is one of the most compelling for me. We're out here in an instructional league right now, so we've got all of our coordinators here, and obviously there was a lot of excitement, this morning in the coaches' room here. But DJ specifically, man, he had a rough go. We sent him back to Winston to start the year, which was unexpected for him. Like, just being honest, just being upfront. That's not what he expected, and struggled early. And man, I just really proud of him for. And I think it's worth saying out loud too, like the staff involved over the course of the season, where he's been really supporting him in a way that's like, giving him the best opportunity for success. So he's dealt with a lot this year. He finished the year really strong. At the end of the day, like, he is extremely talented. He hits the ball as hard as anybody we have. Is he developing into? Does he still need to develop on, some of the strike zone discipline? Some of that kind of stuff. Sure, yeah, but like when he touches it, it's thunder, man. And so like he can play all three outfield positions. I'm excited for him, happy for him. Coming out to the fall league is going to be good exposure for him. He needs to, with some of the injuries he dealt with this year, as many at bats as we can get him is going to be a good thing. But it's just really, really hard to convey like the poetic justice, so to speak, of him having the walk-off hit to win that championship.
Oh, we see Edgar Caro up here right now as part of the taxi squad for the big league team. Whether he plays on the active roster or not, kind of what is the value of having him be around a major league club even for these last few days of the season?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things on Edgar. He's had a great year, as we all know. I think a couple things. A little bit of a reward, number one, I think, is ultimately what that comes down to. I am a believer in exposure to that level is significant. Even just the optics, right? Like, I just think that plays a significant role in this current landscape of like social media exposure, whatever, like I think we forget at times that there's an adjustment to be made going to the major league level. So I think it's gonna prove, significant for him to have been there and seen some of the stuff, assuming health. We're all hopeful that Edgar's going to become a very good major league player. And so, yeah, that would be my takeaway from that, is just giving him the opportunity to be there, see it, feel it, touch it, so to speak. And it's only going to help him.
With Edgar, we've heard a lot about his bat and see the numbers. How would you evaluate his catching and defense ability?
Yeah, I've said this a couple of times. I do think he works at it, right? Which is what is encouraging to me. Like, is he perfect? Is he completely ready to, be as good as he can be defensively? And when I say that, like, at that position, there's more than just catching it and throwing it, right? Like there's a game planning element that is significant, right? And so, does he need to continue to work on defense? Yes. Can he get, quicker, and the arm strength can get a little bit better? Sure. But like, I believe like the defensive ability and the makeup is what's going to give him the opportunity to play at the major league level, and at that position, give him the opportunity, hopefully, to become an offensive player, relative to his position. And that's asking a lot for a young guy, to go up there and catch and manage what we can all agree is going to be, in all likelihood, a fairly young staff at some point. And oh, by the way, like, go be a productive offensive player, have good at bats from both sides of the plate, and adjust to pitchers you've never seen before, and some of those kinds of things. But so the thing that encourages me about Edgar is his work ethic, his understanding that he's not done yet, is what I would say relative to the defensive stuff.
Paul, we've heard a lot about Grant Taylor since he's come to the organization through the draft. I know he's battled injuries and coming back from injuries. What have you kind of learned about him in your year on the job, and what do you see as kind of his, kind of ceiling in this organization?
Yeah, he's I was talking to Grant today. He's out here, he's healthy, he's throwing, he's going to be in the fall league as well. Just impressive guy. Like, the ability is unique, guys. Like, it's, we talk a lot about some of the guys towards the top, Hagen Smith and Noah, and those guys are obviously extremely talented, but Grant's going to be in that same mold. It's that kind of pure ability. We need to be very intentional with doing what we can to help him stay healthy. Obviously, he's had some issues on that front, but he's a big, strong kid. And, again, I go back to it, he wants to be really good. Okay. Like, he wants the ball. Like, he likes to be in the fire. And so, like, there's some context clues that, for me, I think we could, he's going to go to the fall league, have a productive offseason, hopefully coming into next year. And, he's going to have the opportunity, assuming health, to like firmly place himself on that radar as well.
I guess, what do you see kind of as what he can do to stay healthy? He's someone, obviously, throws very hard. He gets a lot of extension. There's a lot of physicality to his delivery that also can be a strain. Is it about tamping that down? Is it just about how he prepares himself? What's kind of the path forward for him?
I think we revert back to saying it's the preparation, right? Like, at the end of the day, he's coming off, coming into this year, right? Like, he's coming off injury. He goes to Kannapolis and pitches well early, and he had the issue, right? And so, like, fortunately, he's come through that. He's going to pitch this in the fall league to kind of get his innings. Ultimately, like, my answer to the question is just understanding, like, the schedule, the maintenance program, and what goes into maintaining health. Like, he does operate with a very high extension, and that's part of what makes him unique. So, like, we're not going to go down the road of trying to compromise the way that he moves or operates. What we're going to try to do is help him understand what he needs to do, like, from a day-to-day basis, week to week, and then the season as a whole, to give himself the best opportunity to stay healthy. But at the end of the day, he's big and strong, and, like, everything works fast. And when that's happening, when the engine's running like that, like, we're all subject to kind of breaking down a little bit. So we're just trying to make the support system even stronger, and help Grant understand what he needs to do to stay healthy.
Paul, what does the offseason look like for Noah Schultz, and kind of what expectations do you guys have of where he'll be come the spring? Yeah.
So, I mean, look, guys, the year could not have gone much better for Noah. We had a plan in place. And again, I highlight the pitching department. Brian Bannister at the top, obviously, but Matt Zaleski and our entire pitching department on the PD side, man, they had a plan in place that we executed that worked out, and so going into the offseason, Noah just needs to continue to get stronger. I mean, believe it or not, guys, like he grew this year, right? Like he physically got taller. So he's added weight. He's going to continue to do so. He's got a unique build. He's long, and he needs to continue to kind of fortify that system and get physically stronger. I mean, the baseball side is pretty dang good, man. But fortifying him in a way that makes him, even more able to endure a full season with the amount of innings we're going to ask him to throw is what that's about. But he's got his mind right. He's going to be out here in Arizona for the off season. So get him out of the cold and get him into a warm place to train.
Doesn't it sound nice to be away from Oswego in a nice sunny Arizona?
It's a beautiful day in Oswego right now.
What a life for Noah Schultz.
It's a Sunnyside Summer Thursday in Oswego.
It is a Summerside sunny Thursday in Oswego. We're going to take a break. We're going to do Sunnyside later, but we have to let you know about what Vinny's wearing. Leinenkugel.
Yes, I came very prepared for my ad read today. Guys, we just mentioned it. It's a beautiful day in Oswego and all over the Chicagoland area, which means we're still clinging to summer, which means you can still get yourself a summer shandy, and it would be very appropriate for you to drink it. It's a delicious combination of the lemonade flavor, the beer flavor, and it goes well with all summery activities, no matter what month you might find yourself grasping one. You might want to go down by the lake for a little picnic. You might want to go to your favorite sporting event for a little tailgate. It all goes great with summer shandy. Bring a whole case of it whenever you do a summer activity. But, hey, maybe you want a little bit more variety. Maybe you're like my wife and you're like, Vinny, it's October. It's not summer anymore. Fine. Get an Oktoberfest. Have yourself a berry Weiss or a honey Weiss. Maybe you have yourself a Lakeside Cherry, a Sunset Wheat. Go up north to Wisconsin and get a Leine's Original. The variety is overwhelming, and it is just terrific. No matter which version of Leinenkugels you get, you're going to have a great tasting brew. So go ahead and flavor life's simple moments with Leinenkugels. It's the official craft beer of the Chicago White Sox. Go to Leine.com/CHGO to find delivery options near you. That's LEINIE.com/CHGO, or pick up Leinenkugels pretty much anywhere they sell beer. Leinenkugels, flavor the moment, celebrate responsibly. The Jacob Leinenkugel Brewing Company, Chippewa Falls.
Yes. We probably are sending the wrong message with this summer shandy in the bucket. We probably got to get some Oktoberfest.
Well,
no, I mean,
it's never the wrong message to talk about summer shandy.
Well, and it's never the wrong time to make a first impression or a lasting impression. That's where Blue Chew comes in. Blue Chew helps boost your confidence in the bedroom so you could stay hard and perform at your best. They say first impressions are important, but what about lasting impressions? I already said that. Does Blue Chew work? If you're asking that question, we want you to know that Blue Chew is putting their money where their mouth is by giving you a month free. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew tablets are made in the USA and prepared and shipped directly to your door. And the best part is, it's done all online. That means no visits to the doctor, no awkward conversations, and no waiting in line at the pharmacy. You could take them anytime, day or night, so you can plan ahead or be ready whenever an opportunity arises. And again, if you're questioning, does it work? Do you think you need it? Try it for a month and see. You're going to love it. Your partner's going to love it. And the best part is you could try it free for a month when you use our promo code ALLCITY at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code ALLCITY to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring the podcast. Boner. It says say it as much as you want. So you know what? If it says it, it's mandatory. I will. Thank you very much to our pal, Leonard, who is reminding us of the 3-year anniversary to the Leary Garcia home run game. What a time it has been since that point to now. I love being a White Sox fan.
Elation to doldrums that quickly.
Getting hit over and over again in the nuts. I mean, that game 4, again, we just revisited, I think it was yesterday. I kind of forget that Gavin even gives them a 1-0 lead in game 4. It just feels like after the Leary home run, it was kind of just all downhill after that. They had a little bit of a chance. I mean, they won that game 12-6, and then game 4, you got a 1-0 lead. And it's just all downhill. Anyways, let's get...
pumpkin.
And a pumpkin.
Yeah, and then Carlos rolled down, turned into a pumpkin. Carlos Correa, I'll still hate him for that.
They had 2 outs, too. That's the crazy thing going back to it. If they just didn't hit 3 guys and put 3 guys on base, maybe they would have had a chance. All right, let's get into what Paul Janish had to say. Let's start, obviously, with Colson Montgomery. If you're wondering how Colson Montgomery has done in the AFL, it seems like that league he can handle fairly well. He was the 2023 Fall Star MVP. That was the MVP of the All-Star game in the Fall League. They call it Fall Stars.
It's clever.
It's pretty cute. And so far, in his 2 games in 2024, Montgomery has 2 hits in 5 at-bats, 1 RBI, and I believe 4 runs. He also walked once, no strikeouts so far for Colson Montgomery. He played DH and third base in his 2 games for the Desert Dogs. What was the biggest thing that maybe you took away from Paul Janish speaking? I know you wrote on allchgo.com. People can check out your thoughts there.
Yeah, I mean, I think just the idea that Colson is back in the Fall League is, eye-catching, certainly. I mean, this is kind of a thing that doesn't necessarily get repeated all that much. I think when you first heard, Colson Montgomery's going back there, it sounds like he's got to, repeat a grade level in school, right? It sounds like I don't want to use the word punishment because I think it's quite the opposite of that, but the idea that, oh boy, things didn't really turn out the way they were supposed to. You think about another prospect showcase like the Futures game. People don't go to the Futures game twice usually, because the idea is that your future was supposed to have come by the next time the Futures game rolls around. But that the White Sox thought it'd be a good idea speaks to their recognition and they're willing willing to admit that Colson didn't have a good year. And Colson kind of accepting that assignment, as Paul was talking about, speaks to him recognizing that as well. It maybe is a little bit of an attempt to try to carry over what was a decent finish to the season for Colson Montgomery. The last month was much better than many of the months that came before it for him. The idea that, hey, keep playing baseball, keep riding the little bit of a hot streak. If you did find something or figure something out there at the end, let's see it. Let's see it in action a little bit more. Paul, you heard said no concerns about a workload, about the idea that you're tacking another 20 games on to a guy who just played 130 and had never gotten to triple digits before as a pro before this season. I believe last season, did he even play 70 in 2023? I think it was 60-something all told because he had the early season injuries. So the idea that he's going to keep going is, again, preparation for making him a big leaguer at a time where he will have to play 150 games if that is asked of him. I think the idea, though, that the joke that he started that off with, hey, why do you want to see Colson Montgomery again in the Fall League? And Paul Janish jokes because we want to get him up to be a better baseball player. It's a joke, but it's also true, right? He had a bad year, did Colson Montgomery at AAA. And I think the idea is they want to get him to a place where probably next year he's major league ready. It's got to happen at some point. Obviously, there's an offseason to work. There's a spring to work. But you pair that with the Fall League, a little bit extra, a little bit more coaching, and maybe it gets him there a little quicker than it would have.
And just to jump in, 96 games for him in 2022, 2023, 64 games in AA, Advanced A, Rookie Ball. You can add on 20 games from the Arizona Fall League, so 84 total for Colson Montgomery in 2023, and then this year 132, 130 in Charlotte, and then the 2 games and counting in Arizona so far.
Yeah, I think I took away was that Paul admitted that there was some frustration, some anger there from Colson Montgomery, which is expected. I mean, this is really his first time probably in his life that he struggled at baseball, that he's striking out a ton in baseball, and feeling that you were a top 10 prospect when the season started. Now you're 37, you're still, highly thought of, third in the White Sox system. But I'm sure as a person of his generation that is on the phone, understanding information, he hears about that all the time, or he sees it on his phone when he turns his phone on. Sox fans, man, Colson's struggling. Oh, man, when's Colson coming up? Type of thing. The pressure has to be on him, and I'm sure that he put some more pressure on himself in this year where he jumped a level that he had never been. And I think in your article you say, last year the AA was, great, and he did well, but that was a cup of coffee in AA, where he had a cup of coffee the year before when they did Project Birmingham. But really, there wasn't a sustained AA path for him in a year. This year, he went from AA to AAA, and he struggled. And he admitted in the early seasons, like, yeah, they throw pitches to get you out. Like, they're not finding the zone. They're not doing anything. They know what your zone is and how to get you out, and they're throwing that to you. And now I have to adjust to it. So the fact that he admitted that he was frustrated, that Paul in the PC said that he was frustrated, Colson Montgomery was frustrated, is human, and it's very telling that a 22-year-old kid has a lot of pressure on him. And that's why I would want him to just relax. Like, this thing of going to the Arizona Fall League is a good thing for him. I don't think, some people think of it as Vinny was talking about, like, once you've passed the Arizona Fall League, it's like you graduated. You don't need to be sent back to the Arizona Fall League. But I would love for him to think of it as, I've been here. I crushed it. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to be the Fall Star MVP again. And then that's going to propel me to a better year next year. And if I start in AA or AAA and then go to the majors, I'll be better for the experience of playing in the Arizona Fall League for another year. So it's probably a lot of pressure on Colson Montgomery right now, but I want him and the White Sox just to relax. 22 is very, very young in his career. I know he's been talked about in White Sox circles for years because he got drafted at 22 overall. But if you have to spend a whole nother year in AAA, I think it's well warranted. I don't want to rush up the kid. If he comes up when he's 24, still really fucking young.
Well, and this is a great insight for White Sox fans. Obviously, the results are probably giving plenty of them, a little bit of concern, but a great live look at how player development is not just about learning how to play baseball, but how to be a baseball player, right? Because we're hearing the emotional, the mental side of the game, the idea of having to learn a new level. It's the same game, yeah, but you got to learn the chess match aspect of it, right? You got to learn how to deal with your emotions. If it's getting frustrating and it's overwhelming you with how irritated and pissed off you might be because you're not getting the results you want, you got to learn how to keep that in check. You got to learn how to, or at the very least, how to make it work for you rather than against you. Mm-hmm. So, and now you've got an assignment going back to the Arizona Fall League where you've got to learn how to deal with having to do something that you thought you already passed, right? So I think that when we see, obviously there was a player who was on the White Sox for a long time, who was so willing and open to talk about how he was dealing with the mental and emotional hurdles of the game, in Michael Kopech. And I think White Sox fans got, a front row seat at that part of the game. Here it is at the player development level. So often everybody goes, look at that stat line. He's ready to come up. And you're seeing in one of the top-rated players in the organization that there is a lot more that goes into being major league ready than just, did you hit the ball today? Did you take your walk today? Did you avoid a strikeout today? Did you play good defense? There's a lot more that goes into developing a Major League Baseball player than that, and White Sox fans are seeing that in real time with Colson Montgomery.
And hopefully going to the AFL does give him a confidence boost. Hopefully he can take the work that he did at the end of AAA, the work that he does in AFL, into the offseason. Only going to be 23 in late February. February 27th will be his 23rd birthday. The big kind of jarring stats when you look at his AAA work is against velocity, anything above 93 miles per hour. He really did struggle to make contact, but at least trying to find some bright spots within that dark spot. When he pulled fastballs, a 443 batting average and an 843 slugging percentage. And that's over the entire year. That's 70 pitches where he's pulling the ball 90 miles per hour, 90.6 miles per hour exit velocity. So when he's getting pitches in the zone and he's pulling those balls, there is some positive numbers. So hopefully it's just about making the positives come forward and just, reeling back a little of the negatives. Also, too, if you're in AAA and you're throwing over 95, there probably has to be some command issues. So I do wonder just how many true pitches he was able to pull in.
What about you? Do you think that, if he were to spend another year in AAA, the whole year, would that signal anything to you, Sean? Would you think, it's not going well?
It depends on if it goes well or not. If he's down there for the entire year and he hits 290, has a 350 batting average and, a 450 plus slugging, I don't think anyone's going to be mad. And also,
if those are his numbers, he's not going to be down there the whole year.
No. Yeah, but I mean, also, like, what's the rush? Like, if your question is too, like, if you just play, what if he plays in AAA for all of 2024? It's likely that he will, be at the major league level at some point. But also, I don't care as long as he's ready when they're calling him up. I think that's what matters. We can continue this after the break. Let's take a break. We'll let you know about some of our great sponsors, like Shady Rays. If you are looking to purchase your sunglasses for the future, check out Shady Rays. They will get you ready with quality shades that are built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered with premium polarized sunglasses that won't break the bank. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company offering a world-class product rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people. Their shades have durable frames and crystal clear optics, making them the perfect choice for all outdoor adventures. And they have hundreds of options to choose from, so you're bound to find the perfect pair to match your style. Plus, if your shades ever go missing or take an unexpected hit, don't sweat it. They have the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair is backed by lost or broken replacements. If you don't love your shades, you can exchange them for a new pair or return them worry-free within 30 days. There's no risk when you shop with our friends over at Shady Rays. Their team has your back with personal and fast support when you need it. Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the season. Head to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses. That's code CHGO for 35% off polarized sunglasses at shadyrays.com. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 300,000 people.
And we are sponsored by Chicago Sports Network, the new home of the Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox games. CHSN will broadcast more than 300 live games per year across Blackhawks, Bulls, and White Sox, and will feature a full lineup of original Chicago-focused sports content. They're also Chicago-based, Chicago-built, and Chicago to the core. And they're bringing it to every corner of Chicago, across our 77 neighborhoods and beyond. At CHSN, Chicago comes first. Visit chsn.com for more information on how to watch Bulls, Hawks, and Sox games all season long.
Thank you very much, Herb. Let's go into Colson. I mean, I've always said that there's no rush with him. I'm fine if he comes up in June, similar to TA. Fat Hipster saying if Colson is moving to third, then Vaughn and Sheets can be non-tendered. I don't think that's even going to be the case. I don't think Colson plays into that at all. I understand the thought process would be if Colson's going to be a third, you move Vargas to first base or Ramos and Vargas to first base, but I don't think opening day for Colson is really, real. I don't think that's feasible.
I mean, it's not. I don't think it's impossible, but why?
Yeah.
What would possibly be the reason? If he lights spring training on fire, then send him to AAA for 2 weeks and see if he can replicate it there, and then bring him up after 2 weeks. Then that's fine. There's absolutely no rush for Colson Montgomery to be on the White Sox in 2025. It's a team that is not expected to contend. If he is going to be a great boost to that team, great. You know what I mean? He's only one guy. He's not going to send him to the playoffs by himself. So there is no rush. He is supposed to be a guy that's going to be a fixture of this lineup by the time they are contending again, and we don't really even know when that's going to be. So the best case scenario for the White Sox is for them to have to think about that, right? For them to have to say, oh, sorry, Colson, you were the best player in the Cactus League, but we'll see you in a month. That's the best case scenario for them to be able to have to make that decision. But I don't think it's impossible either. I mean, maybe he does exactly what they want him to do in the fall league. He has, in their estimation, the greatest offseason he could possibly have, and he comes and he tears it up in spring training. He gives them something to think about. But there's definitely no rush under any circumstances.
Yeah, and I was thinking, if he does do well in spring training and both Arizona fall leagues he's been in, White Sox were like, yeah, you're great in Arizona, but we don't play there, unfortunately. So go down to Charlotte, kick ass, and then tell us when you need to be coming up. Because I think, as Vinny said, and you said, Sean, there's nothing in 2025 that is pressing for him to be brought up. There's nothing that this team is going to be doing for Colson Montgomery to be the guy next year. He hasn't shown anything in AAA that you're like, yes, that's it. He needs to be up. Now, on the other hand, Edgar Caro, that's a guy that if he started on the Major League roster, I would not be surprised at all. But Colson, he should spend a good majority of his time in 2025 down there in AAA, perfecting his craft. If that has a move of third base in there, I'm all for it. Because, as we said, he's a shortstop by trade. but he can always be moved off to another spot. And they always thought when he did get drafted that he would probably outgrow shortstop, and it looks like he's doing that.
Well, I mean, and he's played only one game at third base there out in Arizona.
Mm-hmm.
Just something to remember about the Arizona Fall League. The team that Colson is playing on is not just White Sox prospects. Yep. There's other prospects from other organizations there as well. This could be a situation where it's important for that other organization to have their shortstop get developed through the Arizona Fall League. And while this is kind of a bonus for Colson, why not give him a bonus and use that extra time to try and see what he can do at some other positions? So I don't think playing one, or if it ends up being a lot of games at third base in the Arizona Fall League, necessarily tells you anything about the White Sox's immediate plans for him in terms of what position he's going to play.
And I think the biggest issue with Colson being a shortstop is just the lack of depth behind him. There is Brooks Baldwin, there is Jacob Gonzalez, but I don't think anyone looks at them as cornerstone shortstops. We talked about the Padres moving Tatis off shortstop, moving Merrill off shortstop. That's kind of just what good teams do. They try to get their best players at their best position. If Colson Montgomery doesn't play shortstop for the White Sox, that's probably not like worst case scenario. No. He probably needs to pick up a little bit on, with his bat if he's going to be playing like third base. But overall, the White Sox just need to play someone that's talented at shortstop. And if Montgomery's talented at third base, you have two talented players. That's half a team, or that's 2/9 of a team right there.
I would be absolutely stunned if, with where the White Sox currently are, Colson Montgomery is not given a chance to be a major league shortstop. I think with where they are right now, with where his timeline appears to put him at the major league level, why would he not be given a shot to play shortstop? Who is blocking him? Who needs to be there so that he doesn't at least get that chance? And then if he gets the chance and he can't do it, then you got, well, not exactly 8 other positions to try him out at, but others.
7.
He probably won't be catching.
I guess pitching too, yeah. All right, so MLB.com has Noah Schultz as the top prospect for the White Sox, Hagen Smith as the second best, Colson as the third best prospect. Caro's right behind him at 4. Is Colson Montgomery the best prospect in the White Sox, or the 4th, or somewhere in between? Where would you rank him?
Out of those 4 guys?
Yeah, especially with what you hear from Janish, and take into consideration the position as well, whether it be third or shortstop. This is a guy that's likely going to give you 150 plus games where you might get 33 starts at most from a starter. Yeah,
I mean, there's a reason those rankings change so frequently, right? They are very "what have you done for me lately?" And rightfully so, right? Because that's what you have to go on. I think right now Noah Schultz, and I think especially Hagen Smith, but both Smith and Schultz are appropriately rated ahead of the 2 position player guys, because I think they have a chance to be very, very special, and I think they are impressing the people over at the White Sox on a very regular basis with what they're able to do. Noah Schultz, I've talked a lot about my skepticism over him getting here anytime soon because of how few innings he's thrown, but in those innings, he is absolutely dominant. And Hagen Smith, we talked a lot about what he did at the college level, and I think the future is very bright for him in a lot of the eyes of the White Sox folks. Edgar Caro, I think Edgar Caro just seems to be rolling through the minor leagues and just mastering what he's asked to do. I don't think anybody's looking at him and being like, "Oh boy, here comes the next Carlton Fisk." He put him in the Hall of Fame now, but like when I look at Edgar Caro, I think, wow, the White Sox would be in a great spot if they could just get stability at the catcher position for a long time. A guy that you don't have to worry about being bad or a below average player there. Just to stick him there and say that's going to be the catcher for the next 8 years or something like that. That would be a real luxury for the White Sox, I think, right now. And so I think maybe Caro, with the way he's been moving through the system, and just they have no problem how young this guy is. They have no problem just pushing him up. Go to the next level. Go to the next level. All right, you got that. Go to the next level. Herb, I think you're right. I think that guy could be the White Sox opening day catcher next year. I don't think he has to be.
Nope.
And there's no, if they want to say, he missed a really nice chunk of time at the end of the season. I don't think he only played 3 games after mid-August, something like that, with the injury he was dealing with. But he's just clicking. Everywhere he goes, he clicks, at least with the bat. Obviously, there's a lot more on the plate for a catcher a developing catcher to learn than there is a guy at really any other position. So much more is asked of a catcher in baseball than any other position. So maybe they want to say, all right, give us a month, give us 2 months down at AAA, so we know that when we call you up, you can hit the ground running and handle this pitching staff right away, in addition to being able to hit other pitchers, right? So I think I'd put Colson fourth out of that list right now, just because he seems to have the biggest variation. You know, Caro just seems so steady. But again, this can all change. This could all change in 6 months. And so that's not even a knock on Colson. He's a guy who showed in years prior to this one what he can do offensively could be really, really special. But the big drop off in the on base percentage really jumps out to me from what he did this past year. So I'll put him 4 for now.
Yeah, 4 for me too, because I think he's the highest ceiling and lowest floor. Like, you don't know what you're going to get. And with Caro, at least if he's struggling with the bat, you still get quality catching. You still get game calling out of him. You get some value out of the position and the player. Colson, you know, if he's struggling with the bat, yeah, theoretically he can do it with the glove, but, you know, you're not getting every ball that's not hit to you. The catcher, he's involved in every single pitch, and so he's affecting the game every time he's behind the plate. So I would say, yeah, Colson would be the 4th out of those guys, and I think he has the highest ceiling, even though those ceilings of Schultz and Hagen Smith are through the roof in themselves. Like, if Colson Montgomery, who they compare to Corey Seager, hits that highest of highs, he'll be the best player of those 4. But he can also be the worst player of those 4, because how he struggled this year with a bunch of strikeouts and the confidence level being changed from very high last year to kind of frustrated this year.
And again, with Colson, I mean, there's a 4-year age difference between him and all the other players in Charlotte, at least just on average. So, I mean, that could be a part of why he's struggling as well. I'm going to put Colson 3rd. I would go Noah, Edgar, Colson, Hagen. I was kind of iffy on Hagen just because I don't know if they needed another left-handed pitcher, and I understand that, you know, the White Sox are raving about him, but I would like to see a little bit more. We only saw about like 7 innings, and now he's their second best prospect. We'd just like to see a skosh more, where we have seen production from Edgar Caro at every level, and you look at him versus fastballs, 333, 524 on base percentage, 400 slugging percentage.
Wait. 5 what?
524 on base percentage.
Pretty good.
Is it? 19.6% whiff rate.
The slugging.
And
that's on base. Jesus.
90.7 mile per hour. And that's against fastballs. So take the on base percentage a little with a grain of salt. Still. There. But he hits the ball extremely well. I think that he's just extremely solid. And what Janish said there is, you know, is he perfect defensively? No. Can he get a little bit faster, a little bit stronger? Yes. But the baseline of a player, the baseline of a major league player is there, and it's all just about challenging that player. And the fact that he hasn't had those struggles that Colson has with that large, massive age gap because he's even a year younger than Colson, I'm all for just see what he can do on opening day. Because you do have Corey Lee there, and I'm fine if, you know, he gets one day, Corey gets one day, Caro gets the next. Corey gets one day, Caro gets the next. I mean, that's just a catcher rotation. Work him into the rotation, and I think that's the smartest thing for Caro.
But also, I would think that I'm of the mind if you bring a young player up, he plays. And I got Corey is the guy right now, and he does what he does behind the plate and leadership-wise. But I want Caro to play more games than not. So 3 out of the 5 games, he gets more starts than what Corey Lee gets, because I think you can rust as a young player back there. And I know the grind of baseball is tough, and you probably need to ease him in because he hasn't played a lot of games, and 162-day game schedule behind the plate is tough. But I would rather him tire out with a tough schedule than rust on the bench by alternating with Corey Lee. And he has both bats, both sides of the bat, too. And that's another thing why he should play, because it's tough to hit, period. And then it's also tough to hit as a switch hitter, especially if you're not getting the amount of bats that you need.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Corey Lee ended up playing 125 games last year. I think if that takes a significant cut, that'd be cool. And maybe if we see,
and maybe he'll be
Caro play 125, sure. In Birmingham, Caro started 50 games at catcher and 20 at DH. So it seemed like they wanted to just get him at least active. So maybe if he's not catching, he'll be a DH like we saw Corey Lee be.
And didn't that little cup of coffee that he had at the end of the year where he was brought up to the majors on the taxi squad kind of signal to you like they're preparing him for the league like next year? Like you don't bring a player up, and they didn't bring any other player up, did they? To my knowledge of that was a AAA player.
Some pitchers at the end of the year.
Yeah, just
your Iriartes and the like, but
and those players played though, like
because they were on the active roster. Yeah, right.
To give him the hey, this is how we prepare for games. This is how we do things. Get you acclimated. Even though it was like 6 games, it was telling to me that they're trying to get the guy like, all right, you're gonna be here eventually next year if it's opening day, middle of the year. So you need to get this down and understand what we do here as far as preparing for games as a catcher. Even though you're young, this is what is expected of you every day.
Hopefully what they also were doing changes a little bit. I mean, it seems like they're trying to change the underbelly of the organization. So even what he might have learned at the end of the year might be different from what they're teaching come the start of 2025. The only other player that I wanted to bring up that we haven't talked about yet, DJ Gladney. It seemed like Paul Janish was fairly excited about Gladney. I was a little kind of unaware of what Gladney was doing in Birmingham, so my bad on that. He did drive in the championship ceiling run for the Birmingham Barons in the Southern League Championship game in the 10th inning. And in his last 29 games, when he got called up from Advanced A to Birmingham, 127 plate appearances, 274 batting average, 315 on base percentage, and a 470 slugging percentage. And the thing that our guy Paul Janish likes is that he plays everywhere. He plays center, he plays right field, and he plays left field. So an exciting player there, only 23 years old, from Oak Park, will be 24 in July. I think I'd be surprised to see him be on the opening day roster, but if Dominic Fletcher struggles, maybe this is a guy that comes in and plays right field, May or June.
I don't know about that. I think this is a guy who who took a step backward earlier in this season. They had to send him down to high A. Makes it back to Double A, which is still 2 jumps from the major leagues. So obviously the White Sox didn't show a lot of hesitation to promote guys from Double A. We saw Brooks Baldwin come up from Double A and stay at the major league level the entirety of the year. Ramos first came up from Double A as well as some of the pitchers. So it's certainly not impossible, I guess, but this seems like a guy who's on a much slower path in terms of his journey through the minor leagues. We'll see how it goes. Obviously, you wish him nothing but success, but I don't think this is someone right now that's being thought of in the same echelon as some of the higher-ranked White Sox prospects who would be kind of part of the future. I think if DJ Gladney makes it to the future, to use kind of a clunky way of phrasing that, that would be a very impressive job on his part, I think. Not to say he can't or he won't. It's just right now I don't think he's probably being projected as part of that, lineup of the future. But versatility is a good way to get yourself in there, right? We've seen it not just with Baldwin, but I think of somebody like Zach Remillard, right, who was able to come up and have so many, short as they might have been, stints with the major league team, because you give him to a manager and the manager's happy to plug him in anywhere he needs him. So the more reason you give a manager to put you in the lineup, the better. And when you can show that versatility on the field, that is a big point in your favor.
Isn't he part of the the RBI crew, the White Sox in-house baseball crew? That'll be a good story for the White Sox themselves with their championship team that they keep on winning youth World Series or youth championships, and a graduate of that making it to their actual team. I know that Corey Ray a couple years ago got drafted by the Brewers. He hasn't been up yet. Ed Howard, same thing with the Cubs. But it's good to have young players like DJ Gladney and etc. coming from there, graduating from the White Sox system, and then being in the White Sox organization as a professional.
I do not know. Was he a part of the RBI?
I believe so. He was part of the RBI system.
You're referring to the ACE program?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure that he was, but I think he's just a local kid, but I could be mistaken.
White Sox get ACE in the Hall with DJ.
Well, there you go.
Is it? Well,
there's some puns you have to work through there, but yeah.
4 products of the White Sox Amateur City Elite Program for inner city youth were picked in the MLB draft in June. One of them, third baseman DJ Gladney.
There you go.
From Madison, Ileana Christian. So there you go. In the 16th round. anyways, any other thoughts prospect-wise? We saw Grant Taylor have his debut. Little rocky, but the stuff graded out well as we got some StatCast stuff. Vinny was delighted by.
Boy, did we.
Any other thing from our guy? What's
Janish?
Duke Ellis? Whatever.
Came from.
He
was another player promoted from AA. Yeah.
In the playoffs now.
Yeah. Anything else from Janish?
No, I think, watching these guys, listen, the offseason is very important. And I think when spring training rolls around, pay attention to these young kids again. Most, if not all, of the guys we've been talking about are probably going to get an invite to big league spring training. Go ahead and pay attention to what they did, because they can change their game and their fortunes dramatically, not just from the stats that you see from the prior year, but with what they do in the offseason. And so I think specifically a guy like Noah Schultz, right, it's going to be a very important offseason for him to be able to do what he needs to do physically so he can handle all those innings that they're probably going to see a nice innings boost from him next year as they stop kind of treating him like a college starter and treating him more like a pro. So the offseason is important. We're just at the beginning of it, and you could be seeing guys in a very different spot from where they are right now today to when they show up to spring training in March, or in February, rather.
All right, let's move on to some old faces. Francis Romero had this news, but now we've gotten some more details. Jose Abreu will be playing in the Puerto Rican Winter League for the San Juan Senadores. Roberto Alomar, I believe, is the owner of this team, and Astros hitting coach Alex Cintron is the club's general manager. So
many former White Sox in that sentence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay. So what do we make of Abreu's attempt at a comeback? Will we see Jose Abreu in a major league uniform in a major league game again?
A regular season game?
Not even he might get a spring training invite.
That's a great question, because I think the spring training invite, that makes a little more sense. But
with the Astros, I think the Astros probably don't dislike Jose Abreu. He just was old with a bad back, right?
Still got to pay him $20 million next year.
It's true. Hey, maybe you can work some of that off.
I just think that these dudes are baseball players. As we were talking the other day about, players and managers wanting to get back in the game like Terry Francona is doing. Like, it's hard to give up. And some players love to play in the Winter League, and it just, sharpen skills. I don't know if Jose Abreu is going to get a minor league contract next year. Probably not, because he played so poorly his last 2 years. Natural aging. And I think that people wouldn't be going out of their way to get a 30-year-old first baseman that can't hit anymore. So, yeah, I think this is just a good way to keep his skills sharpened. None of this Puerto Rican Winter League will pique interest of a major league team. I don't think so, because the competition's not the same. But it's just a good way. It's good, exciting baseball in the Winter League in Puerto Rico. What could be better? Yeah,
I think you can probably any and all concerns of a major league team might have regarding Jose Abreu probably have to do with how he is physically able to perform. And you could probably see everything you need by either A, watching the tape from Puerto Rico, or B, if he does one of those tryout, or showcase tryout deals in Arizona or Florida come the spring. I don't know if anybody just goes, all right, we'll take a flyer and give him a minor league contract. You probably just need to figure out, is this guy healthy? And if he is, and then that's the discussion that you have at that point. But the age is certainly probably something that turns away a lot of folks.
Kenny Williams will be there.
Yeah,
he's like, I discovered him,
and he'll let you know.
I found him.
37-year-old Jose Abreu. The other player that will likely be in a major league uniform again, I will be surprised. Ugh.
Yeah. Ugh.
Isn't he a top 7 third baseman in Major League Baseball?
Who?
Where are you talking
I thought
about?
you were going somewhere else. Go ahead.
Where would you think I was going?
I was going Diane Viciato.
No, I'm not talking about Diane Viciato. He's 36. 29-year-old Yoan Moncada will become a free agent 5 days after the World Series ends and will focus on preparation during the winter to secure a contract with a major league organization. This is again from Francis Romero. He will not be, Moncada, representing Cuba on the final roster for Premier 12, but it's very likely that he will play in Venezuelans Winter Ball League. Yoan, I know we've talked about this before, but I think he gets a true major league contract. I mean, Paul DeYoung, of all people, got a major league contract to be with
and
the
then
Sox.
hit 18 home runs in 4 months.
I mean, this is Yoan Moncada. He's a former top prospect in all of baseball.
I mean, still young.
And 29 years old. I mean, we just saw the Jurickson Profar, come up
Yeah.
I think Moncada is someone starting third baseman come opening day.
I mean, that Venezuelan league was run by Ozzie Guillen last year, I believe. And
the team.
Yeah.
He won the championship.
He won the championship and then got to go to the Caribbean World Series. So maybe he can hook up with Ozzie. Man, the stuff that he used to talk about him on the pre and post, and then him being an actual player of his, that'll be good stuff. But yeah, I think also, Sean, that he'll get some type of low level $5 million major league contract for some team, and I hope he shows out. I hope he becomes the player that he's supposed to be, and I will not hold the White Sox responsible for him being a good player after he left the team. He won't be one of the players that got away, to go back to our show yesterday.
It is 100% health with him. This is a guy who, when he was healthy, when he had the most recent extended stretch of games that he was able to play when healthy, he played really well. The numbers he put up were really good. This being at the end of the 2023 season, he wasn't able to stay on the field for more than a week and a half in 2024. And folks are going to want to know, hey, are you physically able to play before I give you what you just described as a low-level $5 million contract? There are some teams out there that would not think that $5 million would be low of enough level, but
White Sox.
there are some, I guess, who would consider that. I think there will be teams who consider a major league contract for him. But again, how do you got to be assured that he's going to play you some games if you're going to give him that? Otherwise, wait until April and give him the Tommy Pham deal.
Yeah, I mean, hey, maybe the White Sox are picking up Yoan Moncada come April 5th.
No.
And just to Shy Sports Drummer in the chat, pretty sure Alex Cintron and Alomar were teammates on the Sox, but probably wrong. You are wrong, but they were teammates in Arizona. The 2004 Diamondbacks saw Roberto Alomar Jr. and Alex Cintron team up. Cintron was not on the Sox until 2006, where he was teammates with Sandy Alomar. So
Sandy is the junior. Roberto, I don't believe, has a.
Did I say
anything
Roberto
after
Alomar?
No, it says on the thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. No,
he might be referring to
maybe,
Sandy.
Maybe he is.
Where Alex Cintron and Sandy Alomar Jr. on the same White Sox team. Yes, you just said it.
And what, Sandy's still with Cleveland?
Forever.
Yeah. So
never leaving. Never getting another job.
I think drummer MJ is looking for a Cintron.
He's trying to put
Alomar
a staff together.
Junior staff. That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox podcast. Blank Name says Moncada gets minor league deal due to the injuries. We'll see. We'll be following that throughout this week. Tomorrow is going to be a very fun CHGO White Sox podcast. We are going to be watching Mr. 3000, the Bernie Mac movie. So watch that tonight, and then we'll discuss it tomorrow. It should be a good time. That's Vinnie Duber, our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence, our CHGO White Sox community leader. I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you to Lawrence Benedetto and Joey Christopoulos for producing the show. We'll talk to you at 4 tomorrow. Goodbye.
We all silly like the mayor.